Once you get really comfortable with drawing lines, well, the next step is really to start looking at primitive shapes and starting to hone your skills in drawing things like circles, spheres, and that sort of thing, maybe cones, because it's all about nailing down that foundation. The more you nail down foundations and basic shapes, the easier it's going to be for you to interpret more complex forms in the future. Without doing that, it's going to be tough, because if you don't have your foundation down, then everything else gets more difficult. So what I've got here is I'm drawing a simple sphere. This is just freehand drawing, and I'm going to accelerate the video. I started off with in real time drawing it, and what I'm doing right now is showing that we've got a light source that's being applied to the sphere. I'm trying to get it as round as I can, and I'm just going to do some quick shading. And what you're going to find is that you're going to have a coarse shadow that hits around the tangent points of where the light source is being applied. So I've got that light source that's coming right diagonally above, and I draw a couple of diagonal lines that are two parallel lines that are intersecting the sphere. So what I begin to do then is to make sure that where the tangency points are, where they intersect, that area is going to see the greatest amount of contrast for the core shadow, and that core shadow is going to get darker and darker in value as I start to apply that shading. And of course, when you get closer and closer to the top, the sphere starts to get brighter and brighter, and that's what's going to give you that spherical shape and just that form. I'm going to extend that line now down, and I'm going to show you where that shadow will eventually be. Now I'm going to bring in my Prismacolor pencil, which is a lot darker in value. Previously I started off with a very thin pencil, and now I'm just going to kind of work back and forth, cross hatching back and forth, bringing that shadow. The other thing is, when you want to look at photo reference, in fact at the beginning you should look at photo reference. I would highly advise you to do some lighting studies and just to take a sphere or any kind of ball that you can see and just light it up, put a point light to it, and just kind of observe it. Where are the shadows lying? And start asking yourself these questions. Why is the shadow ending up where it's at? And what's the physics behind it? And those are going to be really important for you to be able to ask those questions, or to be able to answer some of those questions yourself. I think when you start at the beginning, oftentimes you don't know what questions to ask, because you simply don't know what you don't know, because of lack of experience or whatever. So as you can see here, I'm just adding more value, just increasing the shading, and you can see that it's beginning to take form and starting to look like a sphere. Now this is just a practice exercise. I would highly recommend that you try to draw as many of these as you can. I know it's kind of boring, it's not like you're drawing cars, but believe it or not, it's a very much value add. Now I'm going to go back and check it with my circle template and see how close I got. And wow, that's not bad at all. I would say that is pretty circular, pretty consistent, pretty cool. Alright, anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and we'll go on to the next segment.